grade school committee to order. First item on the agenda is public input. Do we have anybody here who would like to be heard tonight, other than who's on the agenda? Seeing nobody. Not seeing nobody, seeing nobody who's here to speak. Next, we'll go to our student report. Tonight we have Jeff Leonard from the class of 2009.
The student report for this school committee meeting is that the musical from the Maskers Club Into the Woods will be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Sunday show is a matinee. Spring sports started this week. MCAS tests begin this week. The Sierra Nevada exchange students from Mexico will be arriving tonight. Sad volleyball night happened just last week, and it was a lot of fun for everybody involved. Team Pup and Sons won, and it was a big fundraiser for the SAD Club. The dance marathon just raised a lot of money for the Rose Fund. I think it really raised about $900. There was Guitar Hero night at the high school just recently for the French Club, and the Spelling Hornet is coming up, the first annual Spelling Hornet, and that'll be a big event for the school too.
Do you know what date that is?
I don't know what the date that is.
I'd also, yeah, I was going to ask. I felt discriminated against that. Like adults can't be in it, and the school committee might like to enter a team if we could. Is that possible, Mr. Rosmerick?
I don't see why not. You have to start the Parents Association. They always run.
I would love to. I would volunteer to be on that team. Yeah, Hornet. You just spell the word Hornet. That's it. Go ahead, Jeff.
It's April 3rd, by the way.
April 3rd.
Okay.
And then for the student work, this week, Mr. Emerton's AP US History class will be going to the JFK Library in Boston for a field trip. What we're going to do there is we're going to have a document-based question, and we're going to use real articles and documents from the JFK Library to help us learn about that period of time in US history. So we haven't officially done it yet, but that's what we're doing on Wednesday.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Leonard? No? You doing any sports in the spring?
I actually just started playing lacrosse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great. Fastest growing sport in America, Jeff.
You're economic
Yeah,
teacher?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, and good luck with your college.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he's a senior, so he's going through that college selection process right now. Next, what we're going to do, and Chuck, not to put you off, but we have a brief presentation from Assistant Principal Ed Rosmerick at the high school about a new club proposal, and then we will get to Chuck Carucci and the secondary school building committee. So, Mr. Rosmerick.
Well, thank you for taking me on order. Yeah, we received a proposal from one of our students to create a new student organization, a student chapter of the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. I believe you have a copy of the proposal.
Yes.
In the superintendent's. I did a bit of research into it. The ACLU does have student chapters in high schools. I think it's more prevalent at the college level, but there are high school chapters that exist. I spoke to somebody at the Massachusetts ACLU office, and they said at present there are no student chapters in the state of Massachusetts. There have been some, there were recently some in Orleans and Concord, you mentioned. They just fizzled out through sort of attrition. You know, the really interested students kept it going for a while and then graduated out, and it kind of died off and something else took its place, as happens with high school clubs. I was particularly interested in trying to find out if there was any problems with it, anything, any reasons that they disappeared and wasn't able to do anything like that. They just sort of ran their course and fizzled away. We do have a student advisor. Caitlin Corrett is one of our biology teachers. Has said she's very interested in the organization and is interested in working with them. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
One of the questions I had in the memo, You said that the students in the club are not official members of the ACLU, or how does that work?
I spoke with the people at the ACLU. They're formally and officially, there is not a recognized student ACLU chapter. They don't have to abide by the national bylaws or guidelines. There aren't national bylaws or guidelines for student clubs. Basically, if a group of students want to get together and call themselves the ACLU, they can do that. And they're not given any direction from the national committee or the national organization. They are given assistance to the extent that they may call somebody at the state office and ask for it. Assistance, guidance, research, questions, whatever they may be. But there are no talking points that are fed to the students. They're not being indoctrinated. They're not being fed what to do or what to think or what issues are important this month or anything like that.
Oh, I disagree.
Well, I'm telling you what I was told.
Okay.
I'm telling you what I called the student, I forget her title, education director at the Massachusetts ACLU branch, and another gentleman who said his title is field organizer in the Massachusetts office. And this is what I was told, that they don't have, and I was looking for that. I was looking for, do you have bylaws that the student chapters have to follow? Do you have some directions that the student chapters have to follow? And they said no, that essentially any students, group of students that want to get together and call themselves the North Reading High School chapter of the ACLU can do so.
Can you tell us what I mean, usually when we get a proposal, it's signed by the student or the students. This looks like the proposal came straight from the ACLU. They're using the words, "We protect American values."
It looks like it was copied off the website.
Right, this doesn't look student initiated. I don't see anything from students, I don't see student names, I don't see why they thought they wanted this club or what they thought it would do for them.
Well, I can tell you that it came to me from an 11th grade student who brought me this proposal, and I agree with you, it looks like there's some cut and paste off the internet, although I haven't seen that, but you're right, some of the language, we protect American values, we're not, and so on. Some of the language looks like it may have come from the ACLU website. But the proposal came to me from one of our 11th grade students who is just interested in this kind of topic, wanted to see the ACLU, a civil rights organization on campus, and this is what she brought me.
Gee, I would have liked to seen a student proposal. I'd like to get a little insight going on in student life. Do we have an issue with student rights that some of the concerned about? I'm not really getting a handle on with the student, why they might want this or what they're looking to do.
I just want to make sure we're not taking this out of context, because it looks to me like there is a proposal there, the first part of which was drafted, I would assume, by whoever's proposing that we create this club.
The who, what, when, where, why.
Number 3 clearly states, this is adapted from the ACLU briefing page, so I think number 3 is things to know about the ACLU, so that came from their page, and that's what, when it says we protect American values, that's from the ACLU, and that's about them. But it looks to me like everything that came before that was a proposal, you know, to create the North Reading High School chapter. So I don't think this whole thing was necessarily just taken from the ACLU website.
I think the bullet items there at the top, it does look a little impersonal, but I do think that was drafted by the student herself.
Is there any idea how many students are interested in this?
Yeah, we actually talked about this morning with the student reps, and several of the student reps were familiar with this proposal, and there had been some signatures by other students, more or less just based on interest. And I had an opportunity also to receive some information directly from the student who's a proponent of this organization. In a way, it does fit also with the student reps' goal to promote civic discussion within the school.
So the student felt that what we have in place isn't an avenue to voice civic concerns? We have it through the student reps?
As a separate organization, Yes.
I could tell you, in some of the handouts that do come from the website, the things that set off alarms in my mind, what can we do for you? Help arrange and locate speakers about pertinent ACLU topics. Doesn't say about topics related to kids. It says topics related to the ACLU agenda. And one of the things that they are pushing through their student groups, for instance, in a case down in Florida currently, has to do with drug searches in high schools. And as a member of this committee and the Youth at Risk, we've spent a lot of time putting together a very safe, a very solid program from the Middlesex County District Attorney's Office surrounded canine searches and drug searches.
But certainly, we can have that and not disagree with people who want to disagree with us. I
Right.
think this raises a good forum, and I've felt for a long time myself that some cases, I'd like to hear more from the student body as to what they think
I would too.
their rights are.
From the student body, I think
Yeah,
that
but
this
if
is
they
a mouthpiece
want
for
to,
another
if they want to
group.
have speakers, I mean, I don't see a problem with speakers coming in and basically
I
talking
know.
about these subjects or these issues.
No, and I
But-
do think the club is going to have to live within the guidelines of every other extracurricular activity that we have at the high school.
Sure,
So
absolutely.
there are rules and regulations that govern every one of our extracurricular activities, and this club will have to live within those rules and regulations.
Well, plus there's a policy at the end of the yellow material here, says, because improper use of the ACLU's name can cause damage to the institution's effectiveness and credibility, we ask you to check in with us before you launch a new project. Their student groups are not authorized to do fundraising using their name or make statements to the media on behalf of them. And if they receive a media inquiry, they should discuss it with the ACLU as soon as possible. It must be nonpartisan. So, I don't think that, they're not encouraging students to go, herring off on personal crusades without thinking very carefully beforehand.
I disagree.
I think it's a good way to generate discussion about these types of things, I really do. I don't see a problem with, students sitting down and evaluating our drug policy. I happen to think our drug policy is a good one. I believe in it, I support it, I'm 100% behind it, but I certainly don't disrespect their right to turn around and see if there's an argument
Discuss
that
it.
can be made or a debate that could be raised as to, I would just use that as an example, that's all.
And I agree. I just think that this can be, it's a big leap from a structure that we have in place, that maybe the superintendent's right, an elected representative role doesn't include everybody. But I would have liked more of an opportunity to hear from the student or students what their concerns were, and if there were another avenue for us to help them address it before we jump into this.
I think you're misunderstanding. I don't think it's necessarily concerns about anything. I think it's just a forum for them to create discussion and debate. And I don't think there's concerns right now, specific concerns about anything. I think these are just the types of topics that would be discussed based on general civil liberties.
I have checked out their website,
Yeah.
I've called and talked to them on a number of occasions, and there is reason to be concerned that this group is pushing an agenda through the students.
Well,
It's right there on their website, you can't, if you saw it, you couldn't deny it. So I think it's something that you wanna take a deep breath and seriously consider, and not put it under the umbrella of, let's help kids exercise their rights. There are other ways to do that without getting hooked into this group. And I think there is every reason to be cautious about the ACLU.
Well, I agree with you that there's, certainly reasons for the students to evaluate and to use critical thinking. Where is this information coming from? What is the history of the people giving us this information? What do we think we should do about it? Not what do they think we should do about it? But, I don't personally have a problem with this organization getting started. I think we could cause ourselves a huge raft of problems by refusing to approve.
I don't see how we can refuse. It's a
No,
legitimate
it's a legitimate student group.
extracurricular
We vote
activity.
For every other extracurricular
my biggest
activity.
concern is there's a genuine interest in this. In other words, this isn't one student or two
Yeah.
students saying, gee, let's do this. My hope would be that there were